Let's talk about how the gold standard was finally abolished. It's a story of power, war, and some tough decisions. First, you need to understand what the gold standard was. Money was directly redeemable for gold back then. That simple fact anchored the entire global economy. But the system had a major flaw, The supply of money was tied to gold discoveries. That couldn't easily expand to meet a growing economy. Then came the First World War, a huge shock. Governments needed to print money far beyond their gold. So many countries simply suspended the gold standard. They just went off it to pay for the war. Here's where everything changed for good, honestly. After the war, they tried to go back. The UK returned to gold at the old, punishing rate that crippled their exports and caused massive deflation. And why do you think they stuck with it so long? It was about prestige and a fear of the unknown. Then the Great Depression hit in the 1930s. Banks began failing one after another. Look, people raced to turn their paper money into gold. This run on gold reserves was a fatal blow. Nations were forced to choose, save gold or save people. The UK abandoned gold again in 1931. It was a moment of pure economic panic. But the real story centers on the United States. They held the world's largest gold reserves by then. Franklin Roosevelt became president in 1933. The banking crisis was his immediate and huge problem. He declared a national bank holiday almost immediately. This shut every bank in the country for days. Then he did the unthinkable for that era. He made private gold ownership illegal for Americans. Think about that for a moment. It was a huge step. People were ordered to turn in their gold coins. The government then raised the official price of gold. This devalued the dollar and aimed to create inflation. They wanted prices to rise to help debtors, honestly, but the dollar was still technically tied to gold. Foreign governments could still exchange dollars for gold. That link would cause massive problems decades later. World War II reshuffled the global economy again. The U.S. emerged from the war overwhelmingly powerful. Its factories were intact, and its gold reserves safe. Every other major economy was basically in ruins. This set the stage for a new monetary system. They met at Bretton Woods in 1944. The dollar became the world's new anchor currency. Other currencies were fixed to the dollar, not gold. And the U.S. promised to redeem dollars for gold. But that promise was only for foreign governments. The average American still couldn't own gold bullion. This Bretton Woods system worked well for a while. Europe and Japan rebuilt with the dollar's help. International trade boomed like never before, But here's the thing. A flaw was built right in. The world needed more dollars for its growing trade. So the U.S. had to run constant trade deficits. That meant pumping dollars out into the global system. But those dollars were backed by a finite gold stock. The math just wasn't going to work forever. Why do you think confidence started to erode? In the 1960s, U.S. spending soared dramatically. The Vietnam War and social programs cost a fortune. More dollars were printed without more gold in Fort Knox. Foreign allies began to get deeply nervous. Look, France, under de Gaulle, made the first big move. He sent the French Navy to collect U.S. gold. He demanded physical gold for France's dollar reserves. This was a direct challenge to the entire system. Other countries watched and started to think the same. The run on U.S. gold was quietly beginning. Here's where everything changed for the last time. By 1971, pressure was completely unsustainable. Nixon gathered his top advisors at Camp David. They secretly plotted a radical weekend plan. The world was still on the dollar gold standard, but the U.S. gold vaults were steadily draining. They faced a simple, brutal choice, default on the gold promise or break the link. On August 15th, Nixon went on television. He announced a 90-day wage and price freeze. Then he dropped the real bombshell on everyone. He temporarily suspended dollar convertibility into gold. Foreign governments could no longer cash dollars for gold. That temporary order became permanent. Honestly, the gold standard was effectively dead at that moment. Think about that for a moment. It was unilateral. He closed the gold window without any real warning. International markets had to absorb this shocking news. Currency values were suddenly set to start floating. This event is called the Nixon Shock for a reason. It reshaped global finance completely and forever. But the transition wasn't smooth or immediate. Look, they tried to patch the system back together. The Smithsonian Agreement tried to set new fixed rates. It failed within just a couple of years. Markets simply had too much force by then. By 1973, major currencies were fully floating. The age of fiat money had officially begun. So what happened right after the gold link was cut? Immediate chaos and confusion in currency markets, honestly. Nobody knew what a dollar or a mark was worth. You won't like this next part of the story. The 70s brought terrible inflation and oil shocks. Prices for everything seemed to spiral out of control. Many blame the end of gold for that. Was that a fair connection to make, though? It's complicated, but the gold anchor was gone. Central banks had to learn a whole new job. They now managed pure fiat money, backed by nothing. Well, backed by government trust and economic power. That's a fragile thing, as you can imagine. But the US dollar had a huge advantage. Look, it remained the world's primary reserve currency anyway. Oil was priced in dollars, which locked in demand. This created a powerful self-reinforcing cycle, Countries still needed dollars for international trade. So what happened to all the gold afterward? Governments still held it, but as a dormant asset. It became a financial relic, a historical insurance policy. Citizens in the US couldn't own bullion for years. That ban wasn't lifted until 1974. Then regular people could finally buy gold coins again. Did the world return to gold? Not at all. Fiat currency proved surprisingly flexible for governments. They could now respond to recessions by printing money. That power came with great risk of abuse, of course. Here's the part that most people don't expect. The abolition wasn't one event, but a long process. It started in 1914 and ended in 71. War and crisis drove each decisive step forward. Why do you think no major country has gone back? The constraints are just too tight for modern economies. Growth often requires more money than gold allows, but some folks still passionately advocate for its return. They argue it's the only discipline against reckless spending. Have you noticed how gold still sparks debate? Its price still fluctuates with fear and uncertainty. Gold became a commodity, not money's master anymore. This shift changed the very nature of money itself. Money is now a pure social and legal construct. It's worth what we all collectively believe it is. That's a profound and slightly unsettling thought, isn't it? The Federal Reserve's role expanded enormously after this. They became the ultimate managers of the dollar's value. Interest rates became their main tool, not gold reserves. This is the world we all live in today. Our money rests on confidence, not a metal weight. So did the abolition stabilize or destabilize things? That's the trillion-dollar question, honestly, with no easy answer. We've had booms and busts under both systems, look. Fiat money gave central banks crucial crisis-fighting tools. They could inject liquidity during a panic, for instance. That simply wasn't possible under strict gold convertibility. But it also enabled massive debt growth, Government borrowing became much easier without a gold limit. Think about the national debt levels you see today. That's a direct consequence of the gold standard's end. You won't like this next historical comparison. Inflation has eroded savings many times since 71. But deflation under gold could be even more brutal. So it's a choice between two different kinds of risk. The system's resilience was tested in 2008. The financial crisis required unprecedented money creation. That response would have collapsed the gold standard immediately. Have you noticed how gold's price soared after that? It was a vote of no confidence in currencies. Yet the system didn't break. It bent and held. Central banks became the lenders of last resort globally. This is the part nobody really expects, honestly. The ghost of gold still influences policy discussions. Some officials still watch gold prices as a signal. It's a barometer of fear, not a monetary anchor. Why do you think cryptocurrencies emerged decades later? They're a digital reaction to trust-based fiat systems. But they mimic gold's scarcity, not its physicality. The cycle of seeking perfect money just continues. So how was the gold standard abolished, finally? Through war, necessity, and a unilateral presidential act. It was a pragmatic response to unsustainable pressure. The world adapted to a new, more flexible reality. Money became a tool of policy, not a commodity. That granted enormous power to central bankers, look. With great power comes great vulnerability, of course. The system's health rests entirely on maintained confidence. Hyperinflation episodes show what happens when that breaks. But overall, the modern economy prefers this flexibility. Growth and credit are simply easier to facilitate. So, is the story truly over? Probably not. Debates about monetary reform never really cease, Gold retains a deep, almost mythological cultural power. It's the ultimate symbol of tangible wealth and safety. Yet our digital transactions move further from it daily. The abolition was a fundamental leap into abstraction. We now trust in numbers on screens and promises. That's the fragile, ingenious system we've built since. It all traces back to that weekend at Camp David. One decision, made in secret, changed money forever. And that's how the gold standard was finally abolished.